So who here has a nostalgic show from their childhood? I know for a lot of you kids out there, you're going to say, SpongeBob! And I'll say, get out of my chat, you over millennial plebs. Just joking.
Did you ever call them degenerates?
No.
Because it sounded like you were going to call them
did.
degenerates.
No, I didn't. Hey, I'm in control of post-production. I say what I want.
Me.
I know for you,
She-Ra.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Mighty
He-Man,
Morphin Power Rangers.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Okay. So yeah,
David the Gnome.
Yeah.
That's an old one.
For me, I was raised pretty much on Cartoon Network and Disney. Cartoon Network, I remember when I loved Scooby-Doo, like the old school Scooby-Doo.
Seen a lot of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that the show was like super old.
Yeah.
When I was super young, and then I was just like, wow, it was made so long ago, and it's still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But honestly, for me, Disney's the Disney Afternoon, there were several shows on here. I remember the Gummy Bears, which
The Gummy Bears.
The Adventures of the Gummy Bears, which strangely enough it worked as a show. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. So,
You know what also worked as a show?
what?
Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Biker Mice from Mars.
Yes, I remember that too.
What are
Jesus.
some other weird ones? SWAT Cats. That was awesome.
Da, 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 ba, da, da, da. They're remaking, or not remaking. They're
That'd be
getting
cool.
a sequel series, which is awesome.
Boy, there's a lot of shows being named off here that I don't know anything about.
You want to know some weird shows that's not a cartoon? Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighting Force from Beverly Hills.
Oh, yeah, that's that show that Gohan liked.
That was a trip. I watched that back in the day. That
I
was
remember
a
that
trip.
show. Dino Riders. that was
Dino
another-
Riders. I had like a ton of those action figures.
Gosh, man. Actually, a little bit of cartoon factotum here. Cowboy Bebop, on its original release in 1998, only showed 5 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, it only showed episodes 3, 4, 17, 3, 4, 7, 17, and 19, I believe, were the ones that only showed. And then, almost a year later, after TV Tokyo's distribution deal ran out with Sunrise on the anime, they pitched it to another network called Wow Wow, and it was a huge hit on Wow Wow. And then it came over to the United States, and the dub happened, and everything pretty much took over. That to me is like a strange way for a show to go. Like, its initial run just gets completely shut down by.
It's like 5 episodes. They're completely like non-sequential.
Yeah. Well, they did have 3 and 4, but
that's 3
and 4 are good though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Phase Introduction and that's Gateway Shuffle. I mean, Gateway Shuffle to me has one of the best endings because that rush to the exit at the Stargate is just like, holy hell. Because Spike punches it. I mean, like, everything in the Swordfish is redlining as he passes the missiles and everything on his way to the exit, and him and Faye are gunning it to the exit. It's just like, holy hell. Come on, make it.
I know the comment section is going to be after me. I am handling important business in text because somebody doesn't want to listen.
And never watch Street Sharks or Bucky O'Hare.
On a recording. Yes.
Jesus. Ben, you are provoking the snake. All right?
Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Yes, I remember that.
VR Troopers.
Yeah,
which was a trip
VR
because it was like
Troopers.
3 shows spliced together from Japan.
You all keep discussing. I have to go have a brief discussion.
So VR Troopers, strangely enough for me, you want to know the interesting thing about VR Troopers? The lead actor in VR Troopers and Tommy from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, they both auditioned for each other's roles. And what happened was Jason David Frank was guaranteed the lead in VR Troopers, and the guy who auditioned for Tommy
Wow.
who was the lead in
Yeah.
VR Troopers, was the second pick for both parts. Now, at the time, Jason David Frank did not know that he was going to be guaranteed the part of Tommy, so he signed on to VR Troopers.
Right.
But where he was already signed on before VR Troopers.
Oh, he signed that contract first.
Yeah, he signed that contract first. He had to honor his commitment to Saban for Power Rangers. So the guy who was pretty much second got the top billing slot and played. I believe his name was Adam. You can actually go back and watch the original pilot that had Jason David Frank as the lead.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
There was another show. I can't remember the name, but I can see it in my head. It was like took place in like cyberspace or something. Because I had like the action figure from it.
I remember that too.
Because it was like a dragon that would transform into a tank.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was like
one.
a drill mech or something. What was
I remember
that.
that. It was these kids in high school. They had to go into cyberspace in order to fight these viruses and monsters and everything.
Because VR Troopers made me think of it, but
yeah,
man, there are a lot of
God, I can't remember that either.
Ton of old shows.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow,
What
we are
other?
nerds.
Of course, Battletoads. That was a thing for a little while.
Battletoads and the game. Did you ever play the
Oh
game?
yeah.
Oh, that game was painful.
What
But I
other
loved
weird
it.
nostalgic shows?
Oh man, there's a lot of them. But the Disney afternoon had their fair share of shows that were really, really good. I mean, really good. And honestly, whenever Ben gets back down here, I guess we will. I guess we'll.
I gotta figure out what that one show is. It's killing me.
It's killing me too.
A few moments later.
Here we are. Gosh, a bunch of nerds we are.
But it's like I had this conversation not that long ago.
Superhuman Samurai Cyber.
Yes, that is it.
Wow,
yes,
you found it.
Oh man,
Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
yes.
Cyber being spelled with an S.
Yes, I see that here.
I feel so much better now.
I flat out just Googled kids in cyberspace dragon tank. You're welcome.
That it was so cool.
We can start the video now.
Okay.
I had like the action figure and it was like print form.
A lot of people said like, holy crap, the lead in that was Matthew Lawrence.
Matthew Lawrence.
No.
Is that a Pokemon?
No. You know Joey Lawrence? You know from Disney?
Is that a Pokemon?
Yeah, going, whoa. Y'all don't remember? Okay.
No,
good
the
for
only
y'all.
person I know doing that is Crash Bandicoot and Alex Fasciani. So, wow and whoa, respectively.
Okay. So, good for y'all. Okay. Well, we got the Disney Afternoon Nostalgia Critic queued up here. Let's give it a watch, shall we?
Wow.
Heart attack, take medication. But not medicine.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy! Yes, 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 it's my favorite time of the day.
Critic, I don't think the girls in the 90s wore this many hair products. I look like Punky Brewster's recycling bin.
And why are my pants this baggy?
Also, why are all the logos on the back?
It's all part of the experience. Now sit down before it starts.
Before what starts? You're just pressing play on the DVD player.
You don't understand. This is the Disney afternoon. There's a
Cheerios
certain ritual to
too.
this. We act like we just got back from school, throw our belongings on the ground for our mothers to pick up, surround ourselves in high fructose corn syrup, and reward ourselves for dealing with the mental scars of our tremendously flawed education system.
Wait, aren't you talking about Disney's One Saturday Morning on ABC?
Fuck Disney's One Saturday Morning on ABC! That was just a carbon copy cartoon cock comparison compared to the Disney afternoon.
Nice
Hey,
alliteration there, Doug.
Pepper Ann was good.
Okay, maybe one.
And Recess was decent.
Yeah, if you want to get technical.
And Kim Possible.
Did you say
Kim Possible,
cock
obviously, but
Proud Family?
Who's dissing the Proud Family? Nobody disses the Proud Family while I'm around.
And there was also that other show, Doug. Yeah, that was a pretty good cartoon series.
God.
You can't deny that must have had some sort of impact on your life.
What you're both missing is that the Disney afternoon had a timeless sense of magic
doesn't
and
like the
wonder
show,
that was
Doug.
the perfect
doesn't?
welcome home from a
Yeah,
long day of
because
schoolhouse
every day
popularity
he got
or
all the
awkward social
jokes.
punishment.
Yeah, he's like,
So,
his name
hey,
was
Doug's
Doug.
going
Funny,
to
ain't that
comparisons to
funny?
lesser forms of art.
Can't feel my teeth.
We'll go ahead and get started.
I've been there.
Oh my god, here we go, here we go!
Step right up and come on in. Here's where the fun begins. There's so much to do. Getting ready just for you. Everybody's busy.
I don't remember that.
No, you don't remember that?
That whole thing.
That was like one of the intros that played a lot in the beginning. Like
I
when
have-
it was at its peak.
I have no memory of this at all.
It's like DuckTales.
I watched all of those shows. I don't remember that.
For the first time ever, from 1990 to 1997, Disney took some of its hit syndicated shows and ran them with all new material in a 2-hour block called the Disney Afternoon. Sure, there were some reruns and specials featuring the old classic Disney cartoons before then, but this was the first time Disney
Aladdin,
put a slew of
yeah.
new programming back to back in one
Timon and
glorious
Pumbaa.
lineup. Most of it timeless, some of it not so much. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Whitey Ducks. I
Let's
forgot
look
about
at Disney's first installment, Gummy Bears.
In your face! Right?
And yes, the first thing you're thinking
Oh, that
pops
was in
into
the.
everybody
That was
else's
in
head
the.
too.
Yeah.
Why and or how
The
do you
Wicker
make a
Man.
show
Nicolas
based
Cage
on a
was in
fruit snack whose head and limbs you disturbingly bite off? Well, despite such a distracting
Totally worked.
commercial tie-in, the show surprisingly wasn't that bad. A lot of that had to deal with its bright colors, fantasy-focused environment, and a theme song sung by the most easily excitable group ever. Just listen to how into it these guys get. It's impossible not to get sucked in yourself.
Poor Malcolm.
Magic and mystery are part of their history, along with the secret of gummy berry juice. The legend is growing, they take pride in knowing the fight for what's right in whatever they do. Gummy
I have
bears bouncing here and there.
Super hype back then.
no memory of this.
Adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears.
Little known fact, the singer actually died on that very last note. He was that into it.
They are the gummy bears.
Wow.
The show centers around a boy
Takes
named
a scrunchie
Cat.
out of
He
her
lives in
hair.
a kingdom trying to be conquered by a group of ogres led by the egotistical Duke.
King Gregor's castle will be nothing but a big pile of gravel. Get moving! Time is money, or it would be if I were paying you.
Truth be told, I always thought the Duke through most of my childhood was just Skeletor before he lost his flesh. In fact, maybe this all takes place in the same universe and Skeletor is just the Duke's ghost.
Tomorrow, the world!
No, damn it! Now what flamboyant spectacle am I going to chase? Kevin stumbles across the group of enchanted cereal mascots and learns of their secret weapon that can defeat the Duke. A liquid that gives them super strength and jumping abilities called
Gummy berry juice.
Gummy berry juice.
Gummy berry juice. Gummy berry juice.
You know, couldn't you come up with a better name for such a gigantic source of power? Wouldn't the Force lose a little bit of its magic if it was called something different?
You must use the yummy Muffy Puffy.
Right.
So it's a
Yeah,
constant
would.
battle between our
I would
lovable
be
plush
that guy.
toys and the evil monsters and sorcerers that plague
Whatever
the
you
land.
say, Mr.
Show had an
McDougal-Huggins.
innocence
It would be
to
essence
that
of
made it silly, but
McDougal-Huggins.
still pretty enjoyable. But maybe a lot of the show's intrigue came from the fact that it sounded like most of the bears ate your favorite cartoon characters. Like Garfield,
He's more homesick than we are.
Tigger,
Oh no, of course not, Cubby. That's just a story.
Natasha,
Gruffy Gummy, you have the manners of a billy goat.
Tony Curtis,
Don't you tell me who I like and who I don't like.
and of course, Nicolas Cage.
This is the way the teddy bears have their picnic, bitch.
Honestly, the show works so surprisingly
there's another
well.
one.
I'm kind of
Yep.
wondering if Disney maybe should consider doing other shows based on bite-sized treats.
The Super Bowl genocide. Oh,
But that was only the first show in the lineup. Next was the always popular DT.
What?
Why don't you just say the title?
Because I have literally 24 years after its release have just now gotten the theme song out of my head, and I don't want to risk putting it back in my head by possibly saying the title once more.
You mean DuckTales?
God. Malcolm.
As many of you know, I've talked about this show
And
several
Malcolm is
times in the
dead.
past on both my Raiders of the Story arc and, of course, my top 11 catchiest themes.
Should we call an ambulance?
It's too late for him, so I won't waste too much time on this one. But we
I
can
love
talk a
DuckTales.
little bit about it. The show centered
I
around Scrooge
know that it
McDuck looking
exists,
after
but I've
Huey,
never
Dewey,
seen
and
it.
Louie, as their parents once again refuse to take any responsibility for them, and all the adventures and crazy characters they encounter finding treasure. It's sort of like Indiana Jones meets Duckula. Does anyone remember that? I don't care.
Mr.
Despite
Scrooge
the
is
fact
my
that the
hero,
focus
like-
of the story is continuing to
Well, he's a
reward the
venture
1%,
capitalist.
I mean, that's
the show
peak
still
and
kicks
cap
ass
right there.
even years later, giving us all sorts of memorable secondary characters, like Launchpad, that Witch Duck, that Inventor Duck, the Chubby Woodchuck Duck, and
Like,
Robo-Duck. Hey,
Dude
I
in
said
a
the
suit of
characters
armor
were
tried to
memorable,
break
not the
into his
names.
vault, and he's
It's
like,
still smart, it's
this
still
can
creative,
withstand a
and
50
it's still
millimeter
incredibly
shell. And he's like,
likable.
oh, well, this
It
is
has
a
just as
51
much
millimeter
charm as
howitzer,
it did
and
back
blows the guy away.
But surely there must
like,
be another
I
Disney
respect
title
that.
that also made a thumb-bleedingly good Capcom game.
Yep.
Yeah! Now we're talking. Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers was the famous chipmunk duo forming a team to help and save anyone in danger. Think of them as an anti-Pinky and the Brain.
I'm Chip, and I'm Dale.
You know Chip and Dale, of course, but on top of that, there was Gadget, Zipper, and Monterey Jack. And while these characters were memorable and extremely likable, it did suddenly make me realize the traditional team formula that lingered over most kids' shows. For example, you have the inventor, you have the muscle, you have the leader, you have the goof-off, and of course, the little cute one that's just so darn adorable. But let's be fair, this is when that formula was just starting to be put into effect. And give the show credit for putting two popular characters on a team instead of just keeping it two people whose real voices sound like Babs Bunny and the crazy taxi guy fighting over the same woman.
I gotta hand it to you, Gadget. You were right about Tom after all.
I always believed in you.
Ooh.
That is
Most of their
disturbing.
time was spent fighting off evil
That's
schemes, usually from a
terrifying.
diabolical fat cat.
Hello, my galvanized feline friend.
And surprisingly, he has no political tie-ins despite the fact that his name is in fact Fat Cat. Though I guess he does look a touch like Christopher Christie.
My $1 million dinner gone down the drain.
While we're on the subject, did you know that Chip and Dale were actually modeled after Indiana Jones and Magnum P.I.? God, wouldn't that have been a totally different show if it matched their personalities too?
You stood up to be counted with the enemy of everything that the Grail stands for. Who gives a damn what you think?
Hey, did you come here just to abuse me?
The characters allow for a lot of inventive storylines and ideas. Like Gadget, being the rodent equivalent of MacGyver. I mean, good God, just look at half the things she makes.
Yeah.
Gadget, didn't you bring me brakes on this thing? Don't be silly, Chip. Of course I did. But they fell off a few blocks back.
Hey, Tamara, can you make a car out of a skateboard and a hairdryer?
No, all I can do is a Chevy pickup truck sculpted out of rubber and ice.
You're not onto the craft! A lot of characters lent their way to learning some good lessons too. Like always be yourself, have confidence in your work, don't join cults. Yeah, there was actually an episode about the dangers of following a cult. And I think like most kids around my age, found out what a cult was by watching this episode. Hey, it's better than finding out other ways.
Oh, yeah.
He had more cheese wedges than he could count, but he's far richer in spirit now that he's giving up all his wealth to be fizzed.
It's actually pretty clever social satire. A group of mice mistake a cola commercial, you know, the ones that always say you don't belong unless you buy our product, and they turn it into a literal interpretation.
Ah, we were all lost once before we found the cola cult.
And I'll be damned if I can't remember one algebraic equation from all my days of school, but yet years later, I still remember every fucking word of the Cuckoo Cola song.
Come along, you belong to the fizz of Coca-Cola. Get to the store and take all you can carry. You belong with Coca-Cola.
It was cute, it was clever, it had characters we could never forget, it was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I have no memory of this
After
either.
Chip and Dale wrapped up, we then moved on to a show with a familiar character who's a bumbling pilot with his gigantic plane and the timeless environment that he inhabited. I'm talking, of course, about the Jungle Book.
Baloo as a
Tailspin is arguably
1930s
one of
pilot.
Ranger's setups. Not because of the plot itself about a delivery
I've
pilot who battles
seen
air
this,
pirates
but-
along with his sidekick Kit, but Why the Jungle Book characters? It's like having the
It
cast
doesn't
of
make any sense,
Bambi
but it
in a
was
film noir.
fantastic.
It doesn't add up. Well, maybe part of it is that, surprisingly, Jungle Book, after inflation, was the 4th highest grossing Disney film at that time. So I guess they figured it made sense to give them their own show. But even then, there's only 3 characters that ever made it in: Baloo, Louie, and Shere Khan. Where are the other guys? Wouldn't it be great to see Ka in there? Or Ka?
About
then
the
again,
vultures.
to their credit,
Could you imagine
Bagheera?
Bagheera?
The rest of the characters stood on their own quite
Could you
nicely.
imagine the vultures?
Kid
Hey,
was
don't
sort
stop
of the
that
everyday
again.
kid you
Oh,
wanted
God,
to be,
I love those
especially when
vultures
he was
so
flying around on that glider thing. He's kind of like an adorable green goblin. I mean, more adorable than he already is.
You told me never to talk to strangers, and I've never met anybody stranger than you.
Cute kid.
There was Rebecca, who ran the business, who a lot of people didn't like, but honestly, I think she's a perfect comic foil. Just look at all these reactions when Baloo tries to disguise his friend as a scientist.
Guten Tag, bonjour, and how you doing?
What are you doing in that getup?
Ach, you have me confused with someone entirely not myself. I'm Dr. Sven Philippe Gesundheit, BVD.
You mean PhD?
Oh, that too.
She even plays along in finding ways to teach Baloo a lesson for trying such a lazy scheme.
Hi! Just checking to see if you've landed on Mars yet.
Yeah, and it's bedtime here.
You should be out there exploring, collecting specimens. Now, don't you dare come back without a cargo hold full of plants and animals. Oh, and while I have you...
I don't know. She never bothered me. What did bother me, though, was her kid, Molly.
Oh,
Who's
the
sort
Mako
like
of the
a
series.
Webby 2.0.
Wow, fuck off. How about that?
How about I have my opinion? If you don't like it, suck it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stick with fuck off. How about that?
And I'm going to stick
She was
with suck
just
it.
as
How about
annoying,
that?
just as
We both agree to
pandering,
disagree.
Kill the
and
kill.
just as
We both agree to
inconsistent in her
disagree.
Let me shake your other
appearances.
hand.
Sometimes Rebecca needed a sitter
Good
for
enough.
her. Other times she was nowhere to be seen. Where the hell is she
Just kill
going
a
in the middle of
kill
those
Pokemon.
episodes?
No, it's an anime.
I think she was just an unused gummy bear that they decided to fit in somewhere.
You stay away from my mommy. Molly.
Needless to say, any episode centered around her definitely needed more air missiles falling in her direction.
Just wait till you tune in next week. Same danger time. Same danger.
And then, of course, there's Don Carnage.
Don
Best
Carnage
villain
knows
ever.
all that a
Well, one of
failed
the best
pirate
villains.
needs to know, you know?
Oh, how does one describe Don Carnage? Imagine
That's a
if
great
Ricky
name.
Ricardo got fed up with his wife, took his Caribbean band, and just started robbing the shit out of people. You got pretty much as hilarious a villain as you can conceive.
Fetch me the nasty bird! Idiot! You are my worm for catching the early bird! What a lousy place for a wall.
How is it this guy never got a spin-off show? He's fucking hilarious. And I know what you're thinking, yeah, he's a pirate, he's a bad guy, so that would be good for kids, but hey, pirates were kind of the first forms of democracy. I mean, come on, all his pirates have different accents, and hell, I think Don Carnage has like 8 different accents in his one voice.
You had better get that annoying bird back here if you ever want to see sociable insecurity.
It's teaching kids about being together with all sorts of different races, even if you are a million different races in one somehow. It can work. Disney, make it happen.
Oh, little britches. Say it isn't so.
For such a strange combination of characters and timelines, Tailspin had a great feel, charming characters, and enough air battles to keep any kid happy.
Tailspin.
But sadly, this would spell the end for Disney's phenomenal run.
What? You didn't like Darkwing Duck?
How dare you indicate I don't like Darkwing Duck? Do I have to get out my people who don't like Darkwing Duck gun?
Wow.
I was talking about the fact that they never did a good Disney Afternoon and Capcom game again. I mean, come on. Baloo's head is the size of the plane. That's just dumb.
Well, then why don't you just explain what Darkwing Duck is for those who don't know? Which is obviously not me.
Now, I have seen Darkwing Duck.
He is the terror that flaps in the night. He is the noun that verbs your other noun. He is Darkwing Duck! Yeah, a funny superhero was really nothing new. But part of what made Darkwing Duck so great was that majority of the time, he wasn't doing it because he thought it was right. He did it for the exact opposite reason any superhero
He's a narcissist.
should. He did it for fame and fortune. Really think about that. We've seen a ton of egotistical, funny villains, but Disney has never really had a hero that was full of himself, constantly looking for attention, and even sometimes endangering the mission so that he can get all the glory.
I had it all under control. Let me guess. You've come to hell. Everyone jumping on my crime-fighting bandwagon.
I'm not flying anywhere with Laughing Boy here.
Yeah, we've had a side character here or there, but this is a main character, a main Disney character, the focus of good morals. And yet he constantly comes across as 100% egotistical in every single scene he's in. He even provides his own narrations out loud like a little kid.
He had washed the city clean of crime, like a damp mop. No, that's not very dramatic.
But maybe that's why we indulged him so much.
It's such
It wasn't
classic
as
film
much
noir,
a
though.
nasty
It
need
is.
for attention
It
as
is.
much as like a
Was a
little
dark night
kid
in the
looking
city.
for attention. Trying to be the
You know,
center by
blinded by
being
the
the
lights.
hero and technically following his dreams. Even if it is misguided, it's still well-meaning.
I should have worked with the team.
But Dad, the team needs you. They've been captured.
Oh, perfect. Some team they turned out to be. I guess I'll have to go save them.
Wow.
He of course had side characters, like an excitable tomboy daughter named Gosselin, the return of DuckTales character Launchpad.
I'll say this about Goblin. If Dexter
and
were
a
a
slew
girl
of
and
pretty
were a duck,
inventive baddies, including a shocking rodent named Megavolt,
'Cause it's
a crime
actually the
boss
same
named
voice actor.
Steelbeak, who I always
Voice
thought was
actors.
foul-mouthed grown up. Maybe he lost his beak by swearing to Colombian drug lords or something. And his arch-nemesis, Negaduck.
That's the end of Darkwing Duck.
Little known fact, Jim Cummings' voice as Negaduck kills 5 puppies every single time he speaks.
I get the loot. Why? Because I said.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, you know.
Also, in my opinion, Darkwing was the first time we had a legitimately unique kid character in the Disney afternoon. Not that the past ones were bad, but they were just kind of the typical nice, kind of
Generic.
troublemaking generic kids. There is only one Gosselin. She is wild, she is funny, she is always part of the action.
You'll get your own comic book out of it. You better call off Winnie the Ghoul right now. You aren't taking that lying down, are you, Launchpad? Oh, guess you are.
And she compliments Darkwing perfectly, seeing how he has the dreams and ego of a little kid, and she literally is a little kid. So there's a legitimate connection as well as an arc for him to learn how to be a parent.
Wherever there's an evildoer evildoing, I'll be there.
Great, Dad.
The show was also great at satirizing everything superhero-oriented, while still being its own thing. How many of those analogies did he make up to describe how fearsome he is?
I am the metal key on the sardine can of justice. I am the hair in the lens of your projector. I am the wrong number that wakes you at 3 a.m. I am the parking meter that expires while you shop. I am the tube of cadmium yellow that's impossible to open.
Darkwing Duck was one
Man.
of the Disney Afternoon's best shows ever.
Let's get dangerous.
It's so good.
Yes.
Before, sadly, its inevitable decline.
Decline? What do you mean decline?
Well, like any ongoing series that we love, what goes up must eventually come down. But we'll worry about that in the second half. For now, what do you say we all watch commercials while eating some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fruit snacks?
Ew, you held on to those since the 90s?
Oh no, they're current.
Oh, well, heck with that. I'm gonna reconnect with My Little Pony.
Oh, you held on to that since childhood?
No, it's current.
Well, I'm gonna reconnect with my nostalgia by playing with my Transformer.
Did you get that out of your attic?
No, it's current.
Well, let's do something that's not current by watching children's cartoons while talking over them.
Wait. I think maybe they just became self-aware.
Nothing's changed. They're partly right.
I wish they weren't.
I know, I wish they weren't either, but damn it.
Oh, God.
Alright, so you're saying that the Disney Afternoon went downhill after Darkwing Duck. Does that mean you hate Goof Troop?
No!
Oh, good.
Ish. Goof Troop by no means is a bad show. It's aired around Goofy and his son Max living in suburbia next to Pete and his family, PJ, Peg, and Pistol. It still had a lot of funny characters, humorous situations, and a big deal of heart. But this is back when Disney was trying to be... kill! Just look at this music video that premiered with the first episode, and tell me you're not getting that vibe.
Yeah, they're dating it very bad.
Oh dear.
Coolest thing isn't always it. Sometimes you gotta go just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
That's...
all the kids are gonna be doing the Goofy this
This
week.
is unfortunate.
I get the feeling the Mad Hatter's gonna steal a move or two from this. This is total jigginess.
Yep. Oh my god, you really had to pull out
Maybe
Kazam.
Kit wearing a backwards hat, which even then you could argue keeps the hat on better ways flying. The past Disney shows had a timeless feel, just trying to tell good stories with good characters. And aside from this Wonder Bread, there's still this very strong indication that Goof Troop was the first time the Disney afternoon was trying to be hip and with it. Give him the shades, have him ride a skateboard, have him be totally embarrassed by his dorky dad because the 90s are so anti-authority.
Bubble tape is not part of a well-balanced diet.
Because of that, Max is not exactly the most interesting character. He's sort of just some 90s stereotype kid we saw in most shows and movies around then.
Yeah.
First up, 200 gorilla burgers.
He's cool, but he can screw up. He has attitude, but possesses a good heart. He has a rocket hairstyle, baggy clothes, and he's into anything that's extreme.
I feel like I'm losing the cherry on my sundae, the foam on my root beer.
But to the show's credit, he's not annoying per se. There's just not much to him. For me, the real focus of the show was on Pete's family. I wish the show was just based on these guys. This is where the real comedy gold was.
Playing sick, eh? Well, you can't fool me, see? I was a fool way before you were born.
You have an overbearing father, a completely neurotic son, a half-kind but half-threatening mother, and a psychotic little daughter. Seriously, who names their kid Pistol?
Now go out there and uphold the family IQ.
I loved these guys. I wanted more of them. In fact, why couldn't they have the title of the show? Call it Pete Beat. Okay, title needs to work, but you get the idea. I think because shows like Home Improvement and Family Matters were just as popular with kids as they were with adults, there's this big push to throw away the wild imaginative worlds and stick to the all-too comforting, all-too boring realms of suburbia. And what fun is that in an animated show? At least for kids. I mean, what kind of adventures ever happen in suburbia?
Yeah.
Except that. But again, as everyday cartoon shows go, Goof Troop still got a few laughs and had enough enjoyable characters to keep it afloat. Bonkers, on the other hand. One more city-based
episode
than
of this,
suburban
and I
based.
quit.
Bonkers' problem wasn't that the location was
forgot about
horrendously
Bonkers.
passe, it's that the idea
I'm
was
sorry to remind
horrendously
you of it.
passe. Now, tell me if this setup sounds familiar. A tune and a cop.
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah! You don't
It's
really
a
need an
spin-off of
explanation
Roger
after
Rabbit.
that, do you? As soon as you throw in a tune and a cop, that's the first thing you're gonna think of.
It's
but hey,
actually
maybe
a
it'll be
spin-off
cool,
of Roger
like,
Rabbit.
Remember how great it was to see all those famous cartoon characters walking around? With Disney's endless library of unforgettables, surely we'll see some of them here, right? Well, I saw the Mad Hatter in the opening. I saw Dumbo for a second. They're watching Darkwing Duck on TV. That doesn't count! And literally, there's a whole episode where Mickey Mouse is kept in a carrier cage the whole time, and you never see him. And I mean, never see him.
Roll over, boy. Roll over. Beat the cage. Okay, here's a hard one. Play dead.
What is the purpose of having Mickey Mouse on your show if you're never going to show him? Did Mickey just want more money? Will he not come out of his trailer unless they doubled his salary? Tell those sons of bitches unless they want to animate a fifth finger for me to flick him off. I want more dough! And surely Bonkers, the main character of the show, would in no way be so annoying you'd rather smash a hammer against your ears to experience a more pleasant sound.
Electrocute me, burn me to a crisp, and blow up the police station? Where did I go wrong?
Oh, how did I fail my pet?
Yes, Bonkers was kind of like a mix between the Garbage Pail Kids and Snarf, yet somehow they thought audiences would want to return to this.
We have to go to Corkscrew and unmask the imposter. How could those
See,
little monsters
here's the
do
thing,
that to
though.
me?
He's not the main character.
Even the side characters, one of them
Lucky
being a
is
stick-in-the-mud
absolutely the main
cop who has no
character.
sense of humor.
Roger Rabbit.
I know! It's a little confusing because at least in Roger Rabbit, it was live action and animation. Here, it's all animation. So the wonder if it doesn't really stick out. I mean, yeah, you get the idea that all the drawn people are supposed to be real people, but let's say they come across a cartoon of Aladdin. You wouldn't know which one was supposed to be the toon and which one was supposed to be real, would ya? Which is why, I'm sorry to say, kids, there will never be an Aladdin and Bonkers crossover. Even Animaniacs, who share the same time slot, took a pretty mean dig at it every once in a while.
Ah, no wonder you like that bonkers show. That junk's rotting out your brain there.
It wasn't funny, it wasn't creative, pretty much everything about it had already been done before. It was a show that was in desperate need of an eraser.
Wherever you are.
I mean, it was a buddy
Disney
cop
would never do
attempt.
anything different, anything original, or anything groundbreaking ever again. Okay, one. Gargoyles, like DuckTales, I've talked about many times before, so I won't dwell too much.
I
But
have
looking
never
back
seen
at the
a
other
full
shows
episode of
Disney was
Gargoyles.
turning out and how safe
Oh,
they were playing it for a
It's
while, it hit me
super good.
more and more just what a
Very.
unique risk
Okay.
Gargoyles kind of was for them.
Like,
It was their
I believe
first
you.
straight-on serious show. And their TV animation, which hadn't really done anything quite this heavy or dramatic, stepped up its act and really gave something that Disney shows weren't doing at that time, and debatably haven't really done since. It didn't need a hip-hop theme song or popular catchphrases to be badass. It just had to be badass to be badass. And that came from its strong heroes, its complex villains, and its dark, grim style. Also, half the cast of every Star Trek series ever made helps too. It was a fantastic show, and we loved every
Doesn't
single
hurt.
minute.
I mean,
of
you
it.
know.
Why? Because never once did it
And also,
ever rely on any sort of
Goliath,
cheap
aka
Disney gimmicks.
David Keith.
Keith
We
David.
had Aladdin for that.
Every time you do that all the time.
Okay. Keith David.
Keith David.
I'll try not
I'm not
to
saying
step
it's a
on
bad
too
thing, I'm
many
just
toes,
saying-
as I know a lot
It's just
of
there's
people
another
like
Keith
this
David,
show.
and he's a soul
and
singer,
in all
and I just-
fairness,
I-
it's not a bad idea for a show. Aladdin offered a lot of great scenarios that could be taken right out of Arabian Nights, and I'll also give kudos that I actually do remember a lot of the characters they created. I remember Abi Small, Mirage, Sadira, Chaos, that other Aladdin with the girly lips. These were all cool creations
Gauntlet.
that left
Forget the
memorable
Gauntlet.
impressions. Strangely enough, the problems with the show were more centered on the main characters, even though their popularity had already made a ton of money in the past. But let's be honest, what made a lot of the original movies so great was its imagination and its humor. Here, we have the imagination, but instead of Robin Williams' improvisations, we get...
Hold it! Did
Dan
you risk a
Castellaneta.
boo on a bet?
AKA Homer Simpson.
Show respect to the Simeon family.
Homer Simpson bombing at stand-up. And yes, that is Homer's voice, Dan Castellaneta, clearly giving it his all. But the script he's
tried.
handed gives him very little to work with. Aladdin and Jasmine are strong enough to hold a movie, but here, they're so bland you could replace them with an empty shell and Michael Eisner saying,
That's you! You're doing that!
The monkey still sounds like a choking Donald Duck, and by Jesus on Broadway, there is way too much Gilbert Gottfried on this show.
Could we leave the bird a little dignity? Must be that new cream rinse I'm using. And a big
I love a good
Why
cream
do
ranch
people
joke.
keep casting me as irritatingly annoying birds? The animation too is a little strange, as half of it's trying to be realistic like Gargoyles, but then the other half is trying to be cartoony like Bonkers. So you end up with big, expressionless eyes on what looks like stretchy erasers. Look at these. They look more like flesh-colored Play-Doh than they do Aladdin. I'm not
Yeah.
even sure it makes sense. In the movie, they say they have to marry in 3 days, but they're still not hitched in the show. And if Aladdin is allowed to live in the palace now, how come he's still wearing the clothes he wore as a thief? Does Jasmine just really like the Middle Eastern male stripper look? I guess as a show based on a movie goes, it could have been a lot worse, but trying to capture that Disney movie feel seems to work better when you can expand with your main characters, not be restricted by them. God, he looks unnatural.
He does.
Stop on by, hop a carpet and fly to
Looks like he had his soul sucked out by Michael Eisner. Just like,
But not all Disney shows based on Disney movies have to be bad. They just have to have annoying themes. There's not really too much to say about Timon and Pumbaa either. Not because it's bad, on the contrary, it delivers exactly what it promises. It's Timon and Pumbaa in hijinks, goofy situations, and silly scenarios. And that's about all you needed, and that's about all delivered. The animation was fine, the timing was decent, and it never felt like it had to be too restricted to their environment. They could still do fun, cartoony things that fun cartoons usually do. It's totally serviceable. Hell, I dare even say they're a lot funnier here than they are in the movie. But sadly, for every Timon and Pumbaa, there's a Schnookums and meat.
I forgot about this.
Schnookums and what?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Well, that's because we're starting to get into the half seasons. You see, as the Disney afternoon started to lose its audience, it took one of their time slots and would constantly alternate in between shows. So Tuesday at 4 might be Bonkers, but Wednesday at 4 could be Gargoyles, and Friday at 4 could be Legend of Zelda. I mean Schnookums and Meat. This was part of their attempt to just throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
And did Schnookums and Meat stick?
If by stick, you mean I like to impale them on something very sharp. Just look at this intro and tell me if it reminds you of anything. Anything familiar at all.
Ren and Stimpy. Yeah.
If you thought Bonkers ripping off Roger Rabbit was bad, this was just uncomfortable. From the surreal animation to the paint drop backgrounds to the semi-realistic stills to the fact that it's a cat and a goddamn dog, it was pretty fucking painful. It's like watching a kid dance well and then another less talented kid says he can do the same thing and then ends up copying a terrible cartoon show. And let me tell you, if you thought Bonkers was annoying, take a listen to this.
I protect the house from intruders.
Oh, yeah? Well, I think you're too stupid to know otherwise.
Okay, I am not stupid. I am not stupid. I am not stupid.
Hey, did you hit him again?
No, I think he's just reacting to the sound of their voices.
So horrible!
The animation is still Disney too, and even though they're trying to be different, it's still clearly out of their comfort zone. It still looks a little too polished and safe to be anything like the all-out insanity that Ren and Stimpy gave us. The creator of the show went on to do Eek the Cat, which also had a Ren and Stimpy feel, but was still unique enough to be called its own show. This is the equivalent of a video game reviewer seeing another video game reviewer and trying to do exactly the same thing, but not even coming close to fill in your own punchline here. But as bad as this is, it still doesn't compare to the final two shows desperate enough to cash in on what Disney considered at the time major attitudiness.
I know which ones they're talking about.
Quack Pack.
I feel like quacking, so I think I will.
You know how Goof Troop kind of exploited speaking the language of our personality-deprived youth? Well, Quack Pack is the fucking parade for it. Just look at this intro. Film strips? Why, that's not current and hip. Oh yeah, now this is current and hip. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Oh, I mean... Extreme Huey, Dewey, and Louie! This'll teach that unhip adult not to be 15 years younger. Take that, not us! Even the song sounds ridiculous, and I'm including by Disney standards.
I feel like quacking, so I think I will.
What the hell does that mean? Who wakes up and says, I feel like quacking today? Did I miss that thing? Did I miss that thing? And there's your first problem. How do you make anyone called Huey, Dewey, and Louie cool? Well, I think the thought process is just to take the most popular of the three Home Improvement boys and just make 3 of them. No, I'm not even kidding. These kids have no personalities outside of Jonathan Taylor Thomas quotes and 90s poses. Oh, don't know what 90s poses are? I'll give you a run through. The I don't care pranksters. The I don't care belly layers. The I don't care arms folded and or hands in pockets. The I don't care shrug, followed by the I don't care resting hands behind my head. And the constant constant I don't care leaning against anything I can lean against. But hey, they don't need personalities because they use radical abbreviations like Uncle D.
Ah, geez, love to rap, Uncle D, but we've got a room to clean!
Well, if it worked in the Brady Bunch and Sunny Delight commercials, surely our youth must be saying it nowadays.
A disgusting sight.
Granted, it's not like they've never used abbreviations before.
DW, could you give me a hand?
But something about those initials just has a good ring to it.
Yeah, it's
Doug.
fine.
The stories mostly
Doug.
seem to center around weird experiments, superheroes, top secret missions, pretty much
EMS.
anything they want.
Not a good ring.
Which would be great if you wanted to see
Sounds
any
a
of
lot
these
like
characters
EMS.
go through any of those. You
Missing
don't,
a multiple
because it's fucking
of
Huey, Dewey, and
the-
Louie.
of
Yeah,
sclerosis.
without the incredibly
Oh,
rich
that's right.
Duck or the incredibly funny Duck. Huey, Dewey, and Louie are not interesting characters. I love to see Darkwing Duck go through all of this. I love to see the Rescue Rangers go through all of this. But those are great characters I wanted to follow. These are just the Jonas Brothers if even less personality was required from them.
So many comic books, so little time. You guys ever think maybe we should quit reading all these comics and do something? Someone's been reading self-help books again. Pitiful.
So there's no other way to put it, people. This show is pretty bad.
To the extreme!
Extremely bad.
So after their attempt at making has-been ducks look cool, they tried something different?
Oh, Malcolm, that would indicate that Disney would not be 5 years behind what's popular. And in the late 90s, they were all about that. Enter the Mighty Ducks. I guess because they knew ducks were gonna be the big trend for a while. Yeah, everyone's gonna be saying ducks rock this year. This'll be much better than fish rule or logs are totally radical tubular some. We were given a show based on a movie 5 years old that had nothing to do with the movie that was 5 years old. In fact, the connection is so vague that you kind of wonder how the hell they got this set up. It's actually kind of intriguing.
Hey, I'm an inspiring show creator and I wanted to make a series based on the Mighty Ducks.
The kids with the hockey team?
Yeah!
I love it! Except, can we make the kids ducks?
Well, it is a kid show, so I guess that's okay.
And can we make them teenagers because little kids wanting to be teenagers is really big right now?
I suppose.
And can we have them fighting aliens in another dimension where there's nothing but ducks and hockey is more of a side thing?
I mean, that has nothing to do with my idea.
But has everything to do with my idea. I'm glad we found a compromise. Hug me!
So pretty much Michael Eisner.
And yes, that is
Yeah.
the story. They come from a dimension where everything is obsessed with hockey. Heck, even the asteroids look like hockey pucks because they didn't want
Okay.
to seem uncool. And
General
dimensions
relativity
are crossed
is
between
in my
our
head right
world
now,
and a
it's saying
world
that's
populated by
bullshit.
ducks. Oh, sweet Jesus, it's Howard the Duck all over again. Quick,
How
hide
does
your
general
squeaky Jim
relativity have
Robinsons.
anything to do with this?
Once again, the main
Hockey-puck-shaped
characters came down to the
asteroid
typical
in an empty
team
vacuum
stereotypes.
would
Except this time,
eventually,
it truly
through
was
their own
Dave.
gravitation,
Including the
mold
stern
more
leader,
towards
the
the
muscle, the goof-off, and...
You dunderheads can't steal a simple
That has
piece of
absolutely nothing to do
aluminum
with
oxide.
that's general relativity is not gravity.
Okay,
It's not.
the only
relativity is
advantage
the-
it has
relativity
is
is
that
It's
Tim Curry
bending
is
of
the villain.
time
And the
space.
only bigger advantage than
I thought that
that
was string
was that
theory.
Tony Jay, the voice of Frollo, was his second-hand man.
That simple piece of aluminum oxide has a very complicated alarm system.
Okay, I am totally pro Tim Curry and Tony Jay sharing any scene under any circumstances.
The battle is on to see which one of our voices can get women to orgasm first.
Well, that should be easy. My voice is 10 times deeper.
But my voice is so much sexier.
I can make the phone book sound juicy.
I can wear women's clothing and still be hot.
We can even sound sexy saying the most non-sexy thing ever.
Ducks rock.
That did it.
God,
That
that
did it.
really does suck the cool out of everything.
My rolling Congo is sounding good about now.
Like I
Nice!
said, it was stupid, it was painful, it was beyond force, and it was the final nail in the coffin that killed the Disney afternoon.
Well, that's kind of a shame that everything ended up going downhill like that.
Well, in the end, it really doesn't matter because that's not what people remember the Disney afternoon for. It's remembered for all the creativity, all the comedy, all the colorful characters, all the unforgettable worlds. Everything has to have an end, and at least they went out on such a stupidly bad note it couldn't be forgotten. The people who remember the Disney afternoon remember it as something to look forward to after school, the shows that were there to greet them after such a long day. And that was its secret. It wasn't badass, threatening, or consumed by what was popular. It was welcoming, friendly, and smart. It realized early on that the way to become popular is not following the rules that everybody else is doing, but redefining the rules. Heck, playing a whole different game. And with all the effort put into these awesome shows, they're still gonna stick with us even years after they've been pulled off the air.
Bringing you a Disney afternoon.
Well, Disney afternoon is over. Now what do we do?
Son, you do your homework right now.
Oh,
but Mom!
Your butt is what I'm gonna kick if you don't get to your algebra.
Oh no.
Oh, you gotta do your homework.
You too, Malcolm.
Mom?
That's right, you better get your butt busy right now.
You got my mom?
Well, I wanted to be authentic.
Wait, did you get mine too?
No, she was all the way out in California and I was too lazy to get a ticket. So I got your grandma.
Yo, lady, you'll be getting
Linkara,
your
oh,
eyes
Jesus.
Or I'm gonna be getting this fist into your eyes.
Well, I got a grandma.
Don't make me whack
That's
my
Linkara,
boot
damn it.
upside the downside of your backside.
Wow, she's
Lewis.
like a white-black grandma we all have.
Ducks rock.
Ducks rock.
I'm the nostalgia critic.
Lewis, oh god, Lewis Lohan.
Playtime's over. Go do your homework.
I fully expected-
While listening to music, because of course it helps you study so much better.
I fully expected at least one of them to be holding the book upside down.
Dang nabbit.
Ow! White-black grandma!
Lewis Lohan, aka Linkara. So, especially fat grandma. That was Lewis. Come on, dude. Oh, never mind.
Lord.
So yeah, unfortunately, that was I didn't know that Doug's mom was in this. She unfortunately after this not I think it was like 6 months later unfortunately passed away, which was that's a hard thing to get because his mother was in a few of his videos.
Mm-hmm.
His dad's actually been a lot more prominently in the videos. Barney, his dad's actually you can actually see a lot of Doug's mannerisms, like the nostalgia critics, like stuff like that. You can actually see a lot with his dad. I think he gets a lot of his mannerisms from his dad. You see, for me, when I was a kid, coming home after school, when I was a lot younger, it was this. And then in the late 90s, something happened. A certain cartoon block came on Cartoon Network.
Oh, Toonami?
Yes, exactly.
Yep, that was the thing.
Yeah.
Didn't have cable.
No.
We'd all, gosh, what was it? We were like in the 5th grade, and we all we had cargo pockets on our pants. We'd smuggle our Gundam action figures out on the playground.
Yes, I do that too. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I used to smuggle my Pokemon cards. I hid my Pokemon cards in my inner jean pockets. Like I put them in like a plastic thing and I like wrapped it up and like put a rubber band around it and like stuck it in there. And we went behind the building where the teachers couldn't see us and we'd like trade Pokemon cards. And here's the thing. They banned us from bringing Pokemon cards to school.
Oh.
You know why? Because to them it quote unquote promoted gambling.
Okay. No.
That's why they prevented us from bringing them. Not because it's a distraction, not because it's this or that. Promotion of gambling.
It's weird.
Like any of us had the concept of what the hell gambling was. We were in like 5th grade.
We got everything banned. We got freeze tag banned.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Why freeze tag?
That was like the only thing we were allowed to play. And so, for whatever reason, these 2 girls were it. So there was one guy, and they were running to tag him. So he just bolted, and they went bam and smashed heads. And they're like, "That's it."
Like, okay, okay, one accident does not a bad game make.
So they banned freeze tag. Dodgeball was banned since like kindergarten.
Fudge sickles.
We couldn't even play two-hand touch football because it was understood tackle when it was doing.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. You went to school with Boer.
Well, actually, even that, it wasn't. No one actually did anything. One of my friends, I didn't even really play football. I didn't understand football. I still don't understand football.
How about that sports ball?
He was running, and he turned back to catch the football, caught it, turned, boom, right in the tree, broke his nose.
Okay.
So it was like
it was
that's
really him being dumb.
It was really like dumb stuff, not connected to like us being mean to each other. It was just.
It also didn't help that if I'm remembering who that was.
Yep.
They were from a moneyed family, let's say.
So yeah, no problems getting him fixed up.
Well, but also, they had some pull.
Okay.
They're like the most down to earth people I have ever met. Like that wasn't the issue.
I mean,
it was just
to
the
be
teachers
fair,
were just like, we're not dealing with this crap anymore.
To be fair,
Stop.
the only one that I've met is him, and he's not.
I mean, yeah.
He's always kind of a jackass to me.
Well, okay. So. For me, when I was a kid, we were actually on the playground that we had. There was a big open space, but in the middle was a balance beam, an old wooden balance beam that kids. And actually, they had a crooked one too. And I remember one time, we were playing tag, and a kid was like being like really, really really aggressive with his tags and everything. And I remember there's a kid named Bobby. He was running from him, and Bobby leapt over the bar, and the kid was like trying to like reach up and get Bobby, and all of a sudden, here's him. Here's the bar. Ponk.
Yep, he hooked it
face first into the wood chips.
Nice. Oh man, I hated those stupid wood chips.
And he had a huge gash right here, and in his mouth right here, there's actually a little splinter that they actually had to go in and dig out. And after that, we were no longer allowed to play tag in the playground. But they didn't say anything about the grass field behind the playground. Yeah. And
you're a monster.
No, because that was the primary reason for the incident, was because we did it where there was an obstruction that happened. So when we told our teacher, it's like, hey, can we do it out in the grass field? It's like, well, they said no more tag, and it's like, but how can we hurt ourselves if there's nothing for us to trip on? And miraculously, none of us got hurt out there, even though there was a ditch out there that very easily one of us could have like stepped in and like cracked our ankle or something.
Yeah.
But thankfully that didn't happen. High school, like my freshman year, the outside for lunch, there was a little field across the way where they used to like practice short game for golf. Like, they used to practice like with their pitching wedges and putters and all that. Anyway, whenever it wasn't golf season and they weren't out there doing that,
I have a terrible feeling about
we played
where this is going.
We played football out there. Some days it was touch, other days it was light tackle, meaning that if somebody gets their arms around you, you have to go down. Yeah. Like, you're not allowed to just truck through it. I mean, and most of the time we abided that rule, except for one kid, Kevin. He would always try and truck through. Dang it, and here's the thing.
Damn it, Kevin.
I tied up his legs and he goes down. He gets up and throws the football at me and hits me in the chest. And I'm just like, what the frick, dude? What did I do? He's like, man, I was gonna get a touchdown. And I'm just like, it's a game, man. Calm the hell down. And there's a reason why he was kicked off the football team, because he was like psycho aggressive. I mean, actually, he tried to punch me one time to try and get me to fight him. But me, here I am, 6'2", about 240, and here he is about 5'6", 170 pounds soaking wet. I just stomped him. And
it's just like, nope.
I was just like, nah, bro. And I walked out. Anyway, when we were playing touch football and everything, the first few years we weren't allowed to, because the seniors and juniors got first dibs on it, and if we were out there before them, they pretty much forced us off. And plus, there were more of them there than there were of us. Anyway, we had the bright idea to go play on the asphalt up in the parking lot where the field house was. We didn't play tackle up there. We played two-hand touch. But Earl, this one kid, who was when I was a sophomore, he was a freshman. He decided to try and take me down. He decided to try and like lay into me because we were he was very competitive. I was just like out there having fun. I had my back to him. He comes up to me and he just like full body checks me, and I go on the ground. I roll back up to my feet. He's like, "How'd that feel, big boy? How'd that feel?" And I'm just like, "Not bad. Try a little harder next time." And
oh,
he tried harder. We clashed heads. I was okay. He wasn't. He had a gash right up above his eye here, and he was bleeding. And he went to the nurse's office, and they asked what happened. He didn't. We were just like, we don't want to get banned from playing football, man. And it's just like, okay, what are we gonna tell him? And just say you fell down whenever you were running off the field, and Earl said that to the nurse, and we were still allowed to play football.
I fully expected him to be like, Nate hit me.
No. Earl was an asshole, but he wasn't a stoolie. He wasn't a stoolie that told on everybody. He knew how to keep a secret. And
Randall.
No, well, it actually
Snitches get stitches.
Well, it actually speaks about his brother. His brother Cody turned out to be gay, and he kept that secret for Cody because Cody confided in him and he didn't tell anybody. So that's one thing I respect about Earl. Earl was a bit of a meathead, but he had respect for people's privacy and everything.
And then later in life, he made a list of all the wrongs he did,
and was trying to fix him. After he won the lottery.
Yeah.
Shit. No.
I was waiting to make that joke. I'm so glad you did it.
Oh, my name is Earl. God dang it. I didn't realize that.
It took you that long to...
I've only watched a few episodes of My Name is Earl.
I've never actually watched My Name is Earl.
The Cops episode is so good. So he and his wife were trying to get it on the back of a cop car, and they get caught, and they make a run for it. And he trips because he's got his pants down around his ankles, so he skins his... So it's all pixelated, and he skids it. He rolls over, and he's like, "Officer, tell me how bad it is. I skinned my pecker." And the officer's like, "That's a lot of gravel." It's awful.
Oh God!
Like they're in a bar, and they're so excited because their episode is coming on. They all sit down at the bar to watch their episode of Cops. That's like how it ends. That's a lot of gravel.
Oh gosh. That reminds me of that one episode. That reminds me of that one joke Titus told one time. He's like, you know what? I was watching Cops one time, and they were at this trailer park, and I was just like, wow, that trailer park looks a lot like ours. And all of a sudden, he's just like all of a sudden they kick in the door, and he kicks in the door, and his door flies open. He's like, "Holy crap, honey, we're on Cops! We're on Cops! Check it out! Hey, guys, hey, how you doing?" He gets electric, and they buzz him with the taser.
Good times. Yeah, My Name was Earl. Super good.
Oh, gosh.
And they even kept it going because on Raising Hope, they kept referencing the show. They had the whole cast on one time.
Oh, really?
Nice.
And the dad in that who plays Simon in Burn Notice, like the psychotic agent. He's the dad in Raising Hope. He kicks a producer in the nuts and was like, "That's for canceling My Name is Earl," and then runs off.
I like
Fantastic.
I like the episodes of My Name is Earl I saw were actually pretty pretty funny.
They even,
there was one.
I love in jokes like that.
There was one where I forget her name, but Jamie Presley, his ex-wife.
Yeah, Joyce.
Yeah, Joyce.
Was the character?
I believe that's her name. But Earl, she was like her and Earl were talking, and Earl was talking about getting back together with her potentially and everything. And then all of a sudden, Earl's gonna make a confession that he loves her and everything, and then she's like, "I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to." And he all of a sudden, I don't know how it all came to pass, but eventually she tells everybody that Earl says that he's got confusing feelings about barnyard animals and all that. And then eventually people are concerned about him, and they're playing the pronoun game. It's just we know about it, all right? We know about it, and we just want to tell you it's a bad idea, Earl. It's a bad idea. And then Earl's just like, "Well, hell, it was Joyce's idea." And I was just like, and Joyce is just like,
And this, kids, is why we don't play the pronoun game.
No, never play the pronoun game. Be as forthright as possible, please.
Because if you play the pronoun game, it'll happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, everybody.
It could happen to you.